Okay, all right. Hello? Hi. I keep saying that I'm going to pay attention to when it clicks over to actually being live because it tells me you are live. And then later I check the video to see if anything is weird or like I did anything wrong that I need to correct or I have any notes. And it's like the beginning is just, it jumps into me talking. So clearly it doesn't start exactly when it says you are live. But I haven't taken the time to figure out when it actually starts, so sorry about that. Anyway, very excited. We are going to have a lovely, productive Sunday session, and then my reward is I'm going to go to the farmer's market, and that's going to be awesome. So we got 45 minutes. We're going to get some things done. We're going to make some progress on our shoes, and that's going to be awesome. I'm cleaning my space a little bit because it's a little messy. You'll notice my girls are gone. They're in the final phases of being, you'll notice, maybe you aren't inspecting my background. That would be very normal to not be doing that. My girls are going to their forever homes this week. It's very bittersweet. I'm excited. I worked so hard on them and they look so beautiful and I cannot wait to give them to the women who inspired them. I can't wait to give them, to send them to their homes. But it is bittersweet. I was working on them for a very long time. And I will do a big video where just like the deep dive I did on my friendship bracelet shoe, I'm going to go through and like document each one of my 9 girls and what I did and like what the details are and where the Easter eggs are, because I love to do that. But that is then, and today we are shoe marathoning. So, these 3 girls are done in terms of their glitter. They're not done in terms of being done. Wouldn't that be lovely? A lot more goes into them than just the glitter. The glitter is great. So these 3 girls are ready. If we get time today, I will trim and flower these girls. I will put their flowers on them. Oh, goodness. I don't know if y'all can hear, but some sparrows in my tree are really having words with each other. Oh my goodness. Such tiny, furious little feathery creatures. Okay. So I have been getting excellent feedback on the series. I really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for the added accountability that more people joining in brings me. All right, so these 3 girls are all done. As a reminder, this is 2 coats of Wave Velvet, which is our powder blue velvet. And 2 of them got the Water Lilies confetti in there. And this one just got 2 coats of 2 coats of ultrafine Wave Velvet on its own. And so I really said it before and I'll say it again, I really love the added sparkle that a little confetti brings you, but everyone's allowed to do it any way they want. So this one will probably actually be my demo. I'll put her upstairs at the craft store so people can see what, as I said, I'd like to do the waves on top of black, and she, as you will recall, was on top of camel. But, you can't always get things exactly the way you want. We got to keep it rolling, and we got to do our best. Anyway, these 3 girls are ready. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to set them over there. But what we are working on today is our sandwiches and our pizzas. Today, the big thing today, and I've had a block about it, so today we just got to do it. Today's cheese day. So I've got my pizza slices. So these, as you will recall, got 2 coats of DEA badge silver with who are you? Little wad of glue on her. 2 coats of DEA badge silver with 1 millimeter sail on Silver Girl. And my Patreon, there's nothing locked right now. Everything there is free, though I'm very grateful when people support my art, and that makes me feel amazing when people, so no pressure. There's plenty of stuff there that's just free, but I do appreciate the support. But on my Patreon, focus, Nori, I'm so excited about having a productive session that I'm like, gotta keep the train on the track. So these got, on my Patreon, let me finish my point before I go to the next one. On my Patreon, I have like a post. It reminds me of doing my old blog post, which is a nice feeling. I haven't really found the right platform to collect the things I want to share. I've been doing videos, and videos are great, but I also wanted like step by step and put photos and like, this is what inspired this and this is what I'm drawing from and here are some ideas for you. So I've been using it in that way. And so there are Patreon posts that link, it has a shopping list and it'll say like this style of shoe. Obviously I don't have a link for that because you're going to thrift it, or for, you know, flip-flops, things like that. I don't have a link for that obviously because those are going to be, or scraps of craft foam, that sort of thing. But it does list all the colors that I use with links. So that's just, if that's helpful to you, that's where to find it. So this is DEA badge silver with Sail On Silver Girl, and that's my favorite, like sterling silver. I like that very much. So we've got, the other thing I want to mention is post-carnival, a ton of stuff is sold out at Craft Culture, and I just need to update the inventory, and so that's coming. I realize that right now you pull up the Craft Culture page and it looks like all of our glitters are sold out. They aren't sold out. We're just recovering from Carnival. And some things are sold out and we're getting them, but you know. All right, so these are the 4 girls that got 2 coats of DEA badge silver to make the pizza server. The shoe is, this part of the shoe is the pizza wedge to serve. And then it got Baked with Love on the crust, which, as you'll recall, we made the crust out of old upholstery, rope trim, and out of my Muses, my old rope belt from my toga. So hit up your closet and pull out one of those. And then we did, after the Baked with Love, we sort of brushed on our glue and I used just a mix of red. I did all my little especial bits, and that was my red for my pizza sauce. The very first session I showed how I go through my stash and make my little leftover bits. And what I think is very cool about the pizza shoes is this is a very easy to find shoe shape. So you can be picky. You can get a really nice shoe that's inexpensive. So the shoe that you start with, this particular shape, it's a good one to, it's easy to thrift, so you have good options, so you can get it reasonably priced. For me, the glitters were all like little bits that we all kind of cobbled together from all the dregs from our season, which is why it was the first session we did. I was getting organized and I was pooling all the ketchups, if you will. And then the rope was free. We had that in our house. Even if you had to buy it, it does not take much. And then I'm going to show y'all how we do the cheese, and then the toppings are leftover bits of craft foam, and we'll work on those today too, because I have just not been working on those. So those are my 4 slices of pizza so far. But what that means is that these are like some of the, if you do it that way, and you do not have to, you can buy a fresh bottle of paint and use a fresh bottle of paint, and even then it's not gonna break the bank too much. But this is one of the most like thrifty little shoe designs you can do. The shoes are easy to find. I use a bunch of leftover stuff mixed together because if it has a little contamination in it, that's fine. That just, to me, that just looks like a little bit of seasoning got in the sauce or the cheese or it all kind of mixed together. And then the rope is basically free, and then I'm going to show y'all how I do the cheese. So we have delayed long enough. It's cheese time. It's wuthering time, if you will. So this is a piping bag. We have these at the shop. But also, you know, you can get them online, you can get them lots of places. It's probably makes sense to buy like a pack of them and use some for doing your fake frosting and some but this is helpful for my cheese, and I'll show y'all why. So I've got a piping bag. I'm going to do kind of that to it. It would be outstanding if I had, knocking stuff over. That's okay. We knock stuff over sometimes. Okay. So I don't think it even necessarily needs that. We'll see. The cup is handy if we need it. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So what I have done here is I have saved all of my empty white iridescent dimensional paints. All of them. It's not nice, I guess, to say a hoarder, but I like to use every little scrap of everything because that to me is, My mother used to say, do it well, do it cheap, do it fast. You get to pick two. And so I like to do things that I will absolutely spend crazy money on my throws because, I mean, who am I kidding? And there are definitely shoes where like you put a $10 or $12 applique on there and that's kind of all the shoe needs. But that is, you know, pretty hefty. I mean, compared to what we spend on, I will go to the mat on this. I think for the money you spend on throws, the money that you spend on your handmade throws is the best return on your investment because you get so much from gifting them, throwing them. You know, that to me is, I think, one of the savviest places you can spend your carnival money, and carnival money isn't real money, as we always say. So, but I do like to do things that are, wherever I can, I like to do, shortcut is the wrong word. I like to get a little bit more life out of things. It part of the experience for me, it pleases me to be a little extra thrifty. So these tubes are now like, I can't squeeze anything else out of them. They're done, but when we crack them open, there's still a lot in there. I know I sound very like, I don't know. It's kind of like I'm not a child of the Depression, obviously. I guess I say obviously. I don't know what y'all think. But I do feel like that is like my great-grandparents saved like peanut butter jars and rinsed them out. And when we went through their stuff, there were like empty peanut butter jars. There would be boxes that like had their wedding china and also empty peanut butter jars, like lovingly cleaned out and saved. And I think that's awesome. I think in terms, the other thing is it's not just an economics thing. It's not just that it's thrifty to save things. It's not just that it saves you money. I think we're all very motivated to do a more sustainable carnival. And I think using every little bit of every little thing, I think that is part of building a sustainable carnival culture that we can all really be proud of. So for me, I'm going to try to use every little bit. And y'all are going to be very, I think it's incredible how much cheese I'm going to get from emptying out my little pile of bottles. All right, so she's empty now. She has been, I wanted to say licked clean, but that's not correct, obviously. And again, I want to reiterate that there would be absolutely nothing wrong with going out and buying yourself a fresh bottle and using that. Maybe you didn't save these because why would you? Because it's a little nuts to save them once they're quote unquote empty. I also do this with my Mod Podge gallon. It's kind of fun for me to like crack open the Mod Podge. Like I cut the Mod Podge gallon in half and like get my paintbrush in there. I like to scoop every little bit. So I'm just using my paintbrush to move the paint out. And from time to time, I'm going to go a little further. But from time to time, I'm going to smoosh it to the bottom so it's not just messy. These little guys, they also kind of clog a little bit. So, and they're inexpensive enough that you could try to like soak the tip in in warm water and use a pin to clean it. You could definitely do that, but for me, I just empty it out and get a fresh tube. I like the feeling of a fresh tube for making my transfers and using every little bit when I'm making my cheese. So little by little, that's what I'm doing. And if you're making a very big batch, like I am, even saving all your little tubes, you might still need to crack into a new tube. Nothing wrong with that. Again, there is nothing wrong with using a new tube. This is just how I do it. And I feel like the pizza slices are, you know, everybody's looking for ways to stretch their dollars, especially for pleasurable things like your carnival spending. So I feel like if I can help you do something a little bit thrifty on some of your shoes, then you got a little more budget for something else. Maybe you can buy someone on your float a drink or get yourself a little bit more, you know, that new color glitter you want. You can get it. I think nobody's mad about freeing up some space in the glitter budget, if you know what I mean. So what I'm going to do, I'm not done with my tubes, but what I'm going to do is take a clean paintbrush and kind of smoosh it down. I hope y'all can see. I'm just using the brush to kind of, it's like those things that roll the toothpaste out of the tube. All right. So I've got a good little wad of glue going, you know. I got a good amount of paint already. So I keep going. The rolling it back just keeps it from kind of getting messy up at the top. Throw away a couple of my empties. This to me, I know it's silly, but this is very satisfying to me, knowing that I got every little bit. Oh. She's pretty dried out. That's okay. That's part of why I store them in the plastic bag so that they don't dry out as much. Ah. But sometimes they do dry out a little bit. So I wouldn't keep them like forever because they will eventually dry out. But you know, maybe once a year or so when I'm making my pizzas. The other thing I use these for is when I do my king cakes, as I showed you guys. When it comes time to, you cannot put the sugar directly onto the glitter snow. You have to paint to give it, or use glue to give it something to stick to. So a mix of an iridescent white paint. And again, you could get a fresh bottle and squeeze it out of the bottle. There is nothing wrong with that. But that is an instance where I'll cut a bottle open and use my little brush to get it. I keep wanting to say licked clean because it reminds me of like yogurt, which that's nuts, but obviously not licked clean. But if your brush is your tongue, I guess it's licked clean, but that's a weird metaphor, even for me. So don't listen to me when I say that. Ooh. Oh yeah. We're getting all the little bits. And so as opposed to the pizza sauce where we kind of paint it on, I want the cheese to have a little bit of dimension, a little bit of texture. So that's why I use the dimensional paint, and I'll show y'all exactly how I do that. Basically, I'm going to use this piping bag to sort of make cheese on a pizza. It isn't like a thin blanket of cheese. You can kind of see, it looks more realistic if you can see the individual shreds, and it kind of melts a little bit, but doesn't completely lose the shape of the shred. And it's going to be more shredded. The shreds are going to be more apparent towards the top of the slice, near the crust. Oh yeah, that was a good one. She had a lot sitting in there. Nice, nice, nice. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Almost done. And we'll see where we're at. And if we have to supplement, I've got some tubes that are still tubing. But I use a lot of white mist, so I have a lot of these. I use it basically anytime I do a semi-sheer. I use white mist. I talk about this in my transfers class, which my March next weekend is sold out, but we're putting another one up in April. I do transfers about once a month, and it really is, that one I recommend all of them, but that one is really, you get to the end of that with a lot of glittery tools in your glittery toolkit. And if you're new to transfers, it's a great place to start. It gives you a good solid foundation to build on. And if you've been doing transfers a while, I think it's also still very helpful. You'll pick up a lot of new tricks. It's very useful, I think, to both demographics in different ways. So that's my little sales pitch for my transfers class. Anyway, I use a lot of white mist, so I have a lot of these bottles. It depends if you're doing 10 slices of pizza or you're doing 3 slices of pizza, but this is a good amount. Yeah. So these were all tubes that I would have thrown away if I weren't nuts. But since I didn't, look how much I've got. That's like more than one, that's more than like one, yeah, rock on. So I'm going to twist her. I'm looking to see if I have like a rubber band or something just to keep the cheese in the, and I think I am going to cut it so it's a little more manageable. There we go. Okie dokie, guys, here we go. Let's get our cheese glitter. Yeah, cheese, smiley face. So this, as you will recall, I had some contaminated All Axed for Yellow that I mixed with some Invisible Jet, because Invisible Jet has that kind of creaminess to it. And this, because the All Axed for Yellow was kind of contaminated, I think I used it with some confetti and I didn't really, I'm seeing if I can get a few flakes out. I didn't really clean it that good before I switched, and that's on me. Sometimes at the end, that finish line makes us rush a little bit, and that's okay. Po Buddies Nerfect. And instead of beating myself up over it, I'm gonna make pizza. Okay. So I've got my cheese mix, and y'all will recall I made a big old bag of this. I'm just using a 2-ounce portion to represent, but if you were going to mix it from scratch, you could use Cheesy Sparkles, which is what we sell at the shop. That's our cheese mix. You could use Country Roads. That would be a very sparkly pizza, but we love a sparkly pizza. But what this is my contaminated All Axed for Yellow mixed with Invisible Jet to make it the kind of cheese color. Okay, so we're gonna cut a tiny bit. You want it to be pretty thin. And then we're gonna pipe the shreds of cheese. And it's okay if some of them are squiggly. We're going to overlap them. See how it kind of looks like we just shredded cheese on there? Ha ha ha, shredded cheese. So since I have multiples, I want to make sure that I get my shreds nice and shreddy. Whoop. If it's squiggling, try to like, decisive movements make the cheese straighter and less squiggly. If you're going slow and you're like, oh no, then the cheese comes out a little squiggly. Little squiggles is not a big deal, but it looks more like cheese if you do decisive cheese strokes. Decisive cheese shred piping. And obviously we're gonna go all the way. You can see that we've done the top of the slice. We're gonna go all the way down, but it's most important that our piping bag, it's a long shred of cheese, but nobody's mad about that. Cheers. So these are more time intensive. So the thing of make it well, make it cheap, make it good, you get to pick two. This one, the pizzas do not go fast, but they do use up a lot of stuff. It's a shape that is very in vogue right now, so I can always seem to find it. Alrighty, we're doing good. So I'm just making kind of crisscrossed shreds, and I'm doing this pretty fast, but you can do it pretty fast. It's not, you know, you're not painting a bowl of fruit, you're piping some cheese. All right, so now that I've got all of my slices done at the top, don't smoosh them together. Ah, I got a little cheese on my crust, that's okay. You can get a little bit more filled in towards the bottom, because when they do the cheese on the pizza, you know, it'll be thicker in the middle. I'm gonna need to touch up that crust, but that's on me. I got excited and went fast. So making the cheese texture, and we are gonna put toppings on this, so if there are imperfections, it's not a big deal. But see, that's kind of what I want my pizza slice to look like. She's looking good. So, I'm juggling shoes. Let me put these down. I keep cleaning my workspace and then getting excited. The clean workspace does something to my brain where I want to like just cover it and look at line all my ducks up in a row. All right, so I'm gonna scooch This one I started filling in. This one's filled in. So once she's all filled in, let me get my piece of scrap paper. Once she's all filled in, we take our scrap paper and we do our cheese color, because the dimensional paint will give us that fun texture. And the cheesy sparkles makes it look like cheese. Doesn't that look cool? Doesn't that look like pizza? And wait till we get our toppings on there and we do a really cool transfer. I'll make a transfer. Why not? But isn't that looking cheesy? Looking so good. So I see a kind of spot down here where I want to put a little bit more cheese. Just a little bit more cheese. That's looking good. I'm gonna set her down, let her dry, and when she dries, we can do toppings. If we are disciplined and work on our toppings today, we can maybe put these together in the next session or two. All right, my bag is getting a little depleted, but that's okay. Okay. You know, and your mileage may vary. If you don't have as many tubes as me, you might not get all the way. You might not do all your pizzas. That's fine. I'll show you. When we run out, we're just going to switch to a brand new bottle, and that is just fine. You know, being efficient doesn't mean we never use new things. We just want to be efficient with the things we already have. And if you watched me do that cheese and you're like, absolutely not, my time is precious and I'm not, nobody got time for that. I have no judgment there. This is just how I like to do it because it pleases me to be thrifty. I like that these pizza slices are using up stuff I already have. And I like economizing and I like the sustainable carnival aspect of it. All right, so towards the end, it's getting a little bit, the cheese is a little bit less defined, a little bit more melty. All right, my bag is, I think, officially really, truly done. You've done good work. I think we're gonna call you there though. I think that's probably it. I say that as I keep squeezing a little bit more. All right, she is done. Great work. That is a whole, $2 bottle I didn't have to buy. It's not just about that. It's not just about, but hey. Okay, so I do think I want to fill in a little bit more on these before I cheese them. So I've got my white mist scribbles. So I could absolutely call them here and they would be cheesy enough, especially since they're getting toppings. If you're doing plain cheese, because your recipient is like, a lot of kids really love a plain cheese pizza. So if that's what you're doing, I would be a little bit more intentional with your cheesing. Jesus. I would be a little bit more, I would try to really get it looking clean. I know that I'm going to cover these up, so I'm not super stressed about it, but I do want it to kind of look even. I want to be able to see a few individual cheese strands. Oop, that really globbed out. Where is my brush? So that went on a little thicker than I was shooting for. So I'm just redistributing cheese distribution. So since I have, even if I spread it out a little thinner, the dimensional paint will have that sort of body to it. So you kind of have where the shreds fall at the top and you can see the individual shreds, and then it gets more melty and more kind of a blanket of cheese. I hope that makes sense. And if you experiment with it and the cheese is a little bit more, you lose the shreds and the cheese is just kind of a blanket, no problem. It is still gonna read. So you can see I've got some specks where you can see the sauce. That I think is the move. That is gonna look realistic. And I'm just filling it in a little bit more. Okay, cheesy. Cheesy. And she just needs a little more on the side. So we're just gonna add a little bit more cheese all the way down to the tippy toe, the center of the slice. We're gonna kind of spread out some of the pieces we already put, so you can see I'm kind of dragging the tip of this. All right. And I mentioned I'm doing a bunch of extracurricular pizzas, so I'll probably wait on those until I have more empty tubes. Okay, she's ready to get sparkled. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. And I definitely have a few little specks of other stuff in the cheese, but they do not bother me at all because we're layering something up. If I were doing a shoe where it was just all axed for yellow, those little specks of confetti would make me crazy. But because that's not what we're doing, it's more forgiving. So pizza is about forgiveness, sustainability, forgiveness, efficiency, and love. Okay. I'm going to put my I think I'm done with my wet brush, so it's going to go in the glue. All right. Sparkly, cheesy. And this is the difference between the cheese before and after it is sparkled. So that's just white mist by itself. That's my cheesy sparkles. And I like it a little yellow, even though I know mozzarella is pretty light white. If you wanted your cheese yellower, you could use more yellow. If you wanted your cheese lighter, you could use more white. No wrong way to live your cheesy vision. Okay. All right. So do be careful with these because the dimensional paint, it's easy to smudge a wet shoe, but it's especially easy to smudge the dimensional paint because it's so thick and full-bodied. But these are my, all right, I've got one pair here, 1, 2, and then another pair here, 3, 4. Boop, boop, cheese-tastic. Okay, so we're gonna let these dry at least overnight because the dimensional paint, it's thick, it's got a lot going on. It'll hold its shape, but you do wanna give it some space. Okay, let me rearrange my stuff. Let me move some stuff out of my dehydrator so I can put these wet girls in my dehydrator. All right. All right, let's see. At least 2 of these will fit in my little dehydrator. Somebody asked me what brand of dehydrator I have or what kind of dehydrator I have. I have an old broken one that my husband and I, mostly my husband, took apart and like blew the dust out of the mechanisms and put it back together, and now it works. We at the shop, we have like a pretty big restaurant quality dehydrator. For my purposes, my little refurbished one is just fine. I would recommend like checking Marketplace and stuff. I think people buy dehydrators envisioning a future for themselves where they make fruit leather and beef jerky and stuff, and the best laid plans don't necessarily pan out for them. So I think a dehydrator should be an easy enough thing to just buy secondhand and use for crafting purposes. So I know that's not a great answer, but that's what I did. I have a broken one that was free and we fixed it. Okay, I've got 2 pizza girls in the dehydrator. What we're gonna do now, because I'm very excited to, gonna clean the space. What we need to do is get a little more work done on our toppings. So we've done one side of the sheet. Let's do the other. So you can see where I pinched the sheet. This time I'm going to, all right. I'm gonna get a little more glue. And normally I do the Mod Podge and Aleene's. For this, I'm just gonna use straight Mod Podge for a variety of reasons. I just washed my brushes and they've got that little bit of stiffness in them, so we got to loosen them back up. Alrighty, so I'm going to spread Mod Podge on this is my pepperoni sheet. I did one coating. We are going to cut them out and do the sides, because if you don't, it looks weird, but it just saves you a little time. Doing one big sheet is so much easier than doing a billion little fiddly bits. So we're going to get it to the edge. I have just been, for some reason, finishing the toppings. It's been like, I got time. That doesn't happen till the end. And in the step-by-step instructions I did, I sort of put the sections separate, because you can make the whole pizza slice and then do the toppings. You can do them one after the other, but you can also be working on the toppings while your stuff is drying. So that's up to you. This is a big sheet, so I'm going to get a big sheet clean. Okay, and then where's my pepperoni mix? That's my pizza sauce pepperoni mix. So this was just a bunch of reds. This has some red confetti in it, some of the blood red hollow confetti, and this got a little bit of Pinot Noir to give it kind of that wine color, or maybe it got burgundy, and some brown. So again, this is in my Patreon, my recommendation for what you should mix if you're mixing. All right, just a sheet of glittery pepperoni colored craft foam. The cup was a paid actor. All right, so that's gonna dry, and when it dries, we're gonna cut out our pepperonis, and we're gonna do the sides, and we're gonna do our top coat. Whew. And once again, I'm sorry, by top coat, I mean final coat. The second coat, the coat that goes on the top. Okay. So, the other thing I want to do, so you guys know, just in case you want to get ahead of me, and no tea, no shade, that's totally fine. Hey, baby girl, please don't step on a slice of pizza. So you know what we're going to do, just in case you want to head to the next step, we're going to cut the pepperoni out of the foam. And so you'll have a little circle, but you can see maybe you can't see here. You can see the color of the craft foam on here. So what we're gonna do when we get to this point, a little brush would be better, but we're gonna make it work with what we've got. We're gonna do the sides. With my brush, I'm lightly kind of tapping all the way around. These are some old pepperonis that I had from the last batch I did. Okay, and so those are gonna get pepperonied all around the outer surface, the little side. It's not a lot, but it does show. You do want to glitter the whole thing. And so we're going to, with our sheet that we cut out, so the sheet we just made, when it's dry, we'll be able to cut our little circles out. And I'll show you that, of course. I'm just letting you know what the next step is so that you have a sense of it. I want to show all the steps, but I also want the tutorials to be helpful. So I have once again glittered the side, the edge, or glued the side, the edge, and sprinkled my pepperoni glitter on that. Boop, 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 boop. And these were probably pretty close to done, but maybe not perfect, so I just probably put them back in the pile to save them for a later moment when I could fix them. The great thing about the ride is it comes around every year. So if you make something and you're not happy with it, there is nothing wrong with setting it down and letting it be a project for next year or the year after that. I have things in here that have been in here since the house got renovated. So yeah, this one is very patchy. That's okay, because we're going to glitter it up. So once those dry, once the edge dries, we'll do the top layer. I don't feel the need to put a second coat on the bottom. I do want a first coat just in case it peels up a little bit. You know how those pepperonis sometimes kind of are cups. You can really see the orange edge on this one. So I'm just going to, you don't want to have too much glue because then it's going to glue itself down. But just lightly bouncing your brush around the edge. Boop, 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 boop. I wonder if you heated them with a heat gun, you could make them curl up. That feels like a recipe for heating your foam. That feels like a recipe for a headache. Making your foam so hot that it shrinks. But, you know, maybe I'll do a little research. I feel like people do, craft foam is the same as that foam that people make the kind of big cool headdresses out of. So you must be able to heat it up some. I'm going to see if we can curl the pepperonis. I'm going to see if we can cup up the pepperonis. I've been making pizza slices since for 10 years, but you still figure out new things. That would be cool if the pepperonis kind of cupped a little bit. Anyway, I got off topic. So after we do the edge, I'm going to do the top coat, and I'm going to put a lot of confetti in the top coat so it really looks like that, kind of the little dots that are in your pepperoni. All right. And then, but once it has the edge done once, so we do 1 coat, 2 coat, and then we have a big sheet of craft foam that's been coated on both sides. We cut out our pepperonis. We glitter the edge of the pepperoni all the way around. Bounce the brush, bounce the brush, bounce the brush. Rotate it and glitter. Let it dry. Top coat, pepperoni glitter, plenty of confetti. Who are you? That's not confetti. Plenty of confetti. Ba 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 ba. And then our pepperonis are ready to glue onto our pizza. So we'll be able to do that soon. All right. I am nearing the end of my, oh, this is important too. When you, we'll do this, so don't stress out. When you cut out your pepperoni, you need to do some slices so that when you put them, this is a not cheesed slice, but when you arrange them, you are gonna need to put some, you are gonna need to, they can't all be round. Some of them are gonna get sliced by the slicer when it's cut to be shared. So, something to bear in mind. So this green foam has been green glittered on both sides. So she's ready to cut into green peppers, green bell peppers. So I would do her a little different than the pepperoni. I would cut myself a thin ribbon. And then you can see the green foam. Maybe you can see the green foam. I would probably do one side of the ribbon and then snip it down into little pieces and do those. But we can do that next time. But our green foam is basically ready to go. Once our red pepperoni catches up, next time we'll do it. What I wanted to mention to y'all was our little shrimps are so freaking cute. So a dozen does look like it's gonna be about right for my po' boy. So once these are dry, you're gonna twist your kebab out of there. And you do have a little hole, but that's fine. And then once it's twisted off the kebab, just check if you have any little holes, any little spots that were naked, and give them a little bit more fish fry. I don't think this whole thing needs 2 entire coats. That feels a little much, especially since it's going to be on the bread and kind of covered up. But you do want to, do I have another one that, you can see the little white spot in there and the little white spot. So I'm going to touch those up. But I'm not going to do an entire second coat. I'm just going to do a touch up. I'm just going to get the spots because I don't think you need to do 2 coats of fish fry on all of these. So let me grab my dozen. I want to put these on a dehydrator tray. So I will. The other thing I want to mention that we're going to do, I wanted to do it this time, but we ran out of time, and that's okay. Not ran out of time. I allotted a certain amount of time, and I kind of hit it. We're going to be making tomato slices for our po' boys and our hamburger. I maybe want to, no, I don't have glaze mixed. It's okay. I wanted to glaze my hamburger. We'll do it next time. These are going to be our tomato slices. We're just going to glitter these red. That's all you need to do. It's the right size, the right shape. It's going to look like a tomato slice. All we need to do is make it red. And I have some little ones that are probably going to be pickles for my hamburger. But we have got plenty of time to work on that. So the main thing we did today was the cheese, and that was a totally worthwhile way to spend the day, getting our slices cheesed. So it took a little extra time, you know, good, I think 20 minutes of our session was just me. Some of them are stuck in there pretty good, so, you know, give them a good twist. It depends how much glue you got onto the stick. And maybe when I do the next round, I'll try to stop the glue before I get to the stick. Oh, because that one twisted out very easy. But I'm reclaiming my sticks. I'm getting all my little shrimps. And they just need extra glitter in their spots where they, it's mostly where the pole was holding them, so that's understandable. But a little touch up is fine. We don't need to do a full second coat. So yeah, most of our session today was just me cleaning out old tubes. Some sessions are going to be like that. I want to actually show you guys what it actually looks like when I actually work in here. And that is what it actually looks like. So, you know, that's the experience. I'm going to put my touched up little shrimpies into the dehydrator. I'm going to put those scissors away. So yeah, I'm not going to do my tomatoes and pickles today, but that is how I do my tomatoes and pickles. I use fake citrus slices, fake oranges, fake lemons, fake limes. We sell them at the glitter store, I think in 2 and 3 packs. And they're cute in like a cocktail, and we do stuff with that. And like we did like, I say we, my business partner Lizette did a really beautiful series of shoes where she did like the Jazz Fest drinks, and she did like strawberry lemonade, and she did rose mint tea, and they were so stunning. And she did like a pouring picture of them. So beautiful. I will see if I can find a picture and throw it up on the Patreon. Though I don't know where, I guess, yeah, maybe I'll throw a picture up. But the little lemons also make a great tomato slices. So you can see what we're going to do. Those are our slices of bread. We're going to be filling the po' boy with fried shrimp. Oh, it already looks so cute. It already looks so cute. So yeah, I think about a dozen is probably a good amount of shrimp. So I would, if your po' boy, if your flip-flop is big, you can do more. So we're gonna do that. And then we'll do some like, I can't balance it. The glue is gonna help, obviously. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm gonna use red hot glue sticks to make hot sauce and white hot glue sticks to make mayonnaise. And by using those glue sticks, I am putting the po' boy together, so it's serving a structural function. It's going to actually adhere everything together, but it's also representing the sauces. So something to think about. So it'll get tomatoes, and I'll do a little bit of, come here. I talked about this last time, and I was like, I'm getting ahead of myself, and now I'm getting ahead of myself again. But look how cute the po' boy already looks. Oh, I can't. So we'll do a little. And we'll put some tomatoes. I'm going to show you a couple of options for the lettuce, and we're going to have to kind of decide in the moment. I've got the tinsel, so I'm going to see how I feel about the tinsel. Some more realistic lettuce might work too. But I wanted to get the tinsel while it was, because it's St. Patty's Day tinsel. I need to pull the little thingies off. I wanted to make sure I got some tinsel. But we can play with that. We can see what works for us. We can go, that's pretty cute. We can go pretty whimsical. The other sandwiches that I am still working on, and we'll get them done little by little, bit by bit. We've still got plenty of March left, and we're making great progress. The other ones that I have going are I can show you guys. This one I didn't do every bit of it in the session, but this is going to be the muffaletta. So you can see it's got the bread, it's got a meat layer, a cheese layer, and an olive salad layer. And then I'm going to put an olive on the top. I'm kind of playing with that, seeing what I'm going to do with that. But that's going to be my muffaletta. I still have work to do. I still have to seal. And then this one is part of my marathon, so I have been showing all the steps. This is going to be my cheeseburger. So last time I did the holographic 1 millimeter, and I did the slice of cheese. I'm going to put tomatoes and lettuce on her. Dig into so this kind of shows you what these are going to look like. So I'm going to do tomatoes. I'm going to do some pickles, probably. And we'll figure out, we may put that would be cute if I mix that's probably what I'm going to do. So we're going to do tomatoes and pickles. We're going to do little rhinestones to make her sesame seeds, and then she's going to be very, very cute. So that's where we are in our various, I know we got a lot going on, but we're killing it. We did not finish the velvets today, but that's okay. We will finish them at a later point in time. We are absolutely cruising. We are making great progress. I feel very good about it. And I think in just, you know, a couple more sessions, we'll be able to fill in at least, you know, on my thermometer, we'll be able to fill in at least 3 more, maybe 6, maybe 9. So thank you all, as always, for joining me. The feedback has been very helpful and very appreciated. And I hope everybody is enjoying their beautiful spring in New Orleans. And I will see you guys next time.